yeah, we're back to the studio setup. I just was not happy with the other one, and until I can get it to a place that I'm happy with, just figured we'd come over here because it's quicker and easier for me to film and edit with this situation. So I hope you guys are okay with it. So today I just really wanted to sit down and do my makeup and talk to you guys about something I've been thinking about ever since 2020 started, which is the beauty community on its last legs? I'll get into all of that stuff. We're actually going to go through like a little brief history of the beauty community to help you guys understand how we got here. And then I guess the question will be left up for you guys to decide. Is this the end of the beauty community as we know it, or is this just the friggin' beginning? I certainly hope that it's not the beginning, because I don't, spoiler alert, like the way it is right now, but that's not news to anybody who's been watching me for any length of time. But yeah, so this video is long. We're just gonna get into it. This is a chit chat, get ready with me. So I'm gonna have a naked face in 3, 2, 1. All right, you guys, I thought it might be helpful to start off by explaining first my relationship with the beauty industry and the beauty community, and then kind of how I've seen it evolve, because otherwise I just don't think we can understand how we got to where we are. Beauty-related content didn't become especially significant in my life until roughly 2011. That was when I got my first laptop and could afford the internet. The struggle was real. So there were a lot of nights when I wasn't working one of my many jobs that I would just sit and binge the absolute shit out of this content. But yeah, I remember that was when I first heard about brands like BH Cosmetics, which is still around and still pretty prominent. Their kind of business model, if you will, hasn't changed much. But the one that I remember actively purchasing from and getting more involved with was Coastal Scents. And they had what were called 88 palettes. They had like 88 neutrals, 88 rainbows, 88 shimmers, 88 mattes, and I bought so many of those things because where I'm from, you know, we didn't have MAC or Sephora or Ulta or anything like that. I just didn't know there was anything outside of drugstore makeup, and the most kind of like high-end or any world I knew outside of that was like Lancome or Clinique, because they sold it at the mall. But I found just like tons and tons of tutorials demonstrating how to use all of these palettes and how to use all these fun new colors. And you have to understand that I have loved makeup since I was very, very young. The internet did not introduce the love of makeup to me. It did not inspire me to take an interest in it. I have literally been obsessed with it since I was a young kid. I used to steal my mom's makeup when I was little. One time when I was in 4th grade, she like full blown figured out that I was taking her shit, and she came into my classroom and was like, I need to see what's in Whitney's book bag. And lo and behold, I had like her entire makeup stash in my book bag. So at the end of 2011, is that right? Yeah, the very end of 2011, I found myself in a dream position. Basically, I was able to pursue my love of makeup full time. My now husband kind of was like, you don't want to bartend, this isn't what you want to do. Why don't we just let you give this a shot and see what happens? So every opportunity I had available to myself would be spent watching videos about makeup, because my objective at the time was to be a professional makeup artist, because that was still what people wanted to do if they had an interest in a career in makeup. I was watching a lot of like Pixie Woo. That was a big one for me. And I will never forget the first time I saw a Wayne Goss video, because he was so informative. He was teaching, and I did gain a lot of product knowledge through YouTube at the time, but mostly all of the product knowledge I was trying to ascertain was based around having a makeup kit. In fact, I learned so much from my time binging beauty related content on YouTube that by the time I went to makeup school, I'll never forget the TA came up to me when I started on a model, and he was like, you've done this before, haven't you? So we're gonna cut to 2013. I am working as a professional makeup artist. I have clients, I'm working with agencies, I'm doing photo shoots, I got a kit. Like, Lil Whitney is living the dream, let me tell you something. And around this time, there's a little momentum picking up in the beauty space on YouTube. The makeup releases were still reasonable and pretty scarce. Like, I full-blown remember some of these makeup releases and how exciting they were. Like when Candy Yum Yum from MAC became permanent, I actually made an Instagram post about it and ran out and bought it immediately. It was such a big deal to me, and I haven't felt that level of excitement around a makeup release probably ever since. I think it was pretty quick shortly thereafter that the lunacy began. But could you just imagine a time where like one product becoming permanent, not even just being released, it's just able to buy it at any time, was as exciting as it was for me that day. Like, God, we've come a long way. But yeah, so the point I'm trying to make is that the beauty community for me, and what I got out of it and what I loved so much about it for so long, was the fact that I was learning a lot from it. Even after I got out of school, I still continued to watch YouTube to bone up on techniques, and I was taking classes, and I just wanted to learn as much as I could about how to do a beautiful makeup application. And then I think I noticed the shift started happening around 2015 because my clients would start asking me about techniques that I just was surprised to hear like the lay person know, for the lack of a better word. Now terms like contouring and baking and certain brand names are just part of the way lots of people speak, not even people who are super invested in the beauty community. A lot of people know about this stuff just peripherally, but that was not the case prior to around 2015, and that was when I knew that this was growing, that more people were getting interested in it and wanting to learn about it. At the time, so around 2014, 2015, I was a pro MUA, as I said 100 times. I did have a YouTube channel that I would upload on when I had time, but that was rare. If you go all the way back, my videos are really sporadic and far apart. But I was definitely becoming more aware through that of the beauty community and how it was integrating with the beauty industry in a way that clearly, like, we had never seen before. You guys know the exact moment that I figured out that we had reached a point of no return and that the whole thing would never be the same again. That was when Omrezi, I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly, I apologize, introduced her first palette with Anastasia Beverly Hills. This was in 2014, I think. And this is around the time Instagram starts kind of popping up on my radar more. I used Instagram, if you scroll all the way down my feed, I used it mostly to share my client work, to get jobs. But then I found people like Omrezi or Amra who just posted selfies of them. Beautiful selfies, beautiful makeup, just posting selfies. And I even remember she did make a post at one point on Instagram where she kind of showed what she was using for her selfies. It was like her lights and the camera she was using, the Sony, the A600 or the A6. It was something like that. She had that camera. Then everybody went and got it too because they wanted fleeky ass selfies like Amra. But yeah, I remember seeing that post and laughing. I mean, she laughing all the way to the bank now, but I laughed. I just thought it was so silly how invested people were getting in selfies, because like I said, to me, the career you had as a makeup lover or a makeup enthusiast was to be a makeup artist, and that's working on other people. But that palette comes out with ABH around 2014, and I just remember I don't even know how to describe it. I was shocked. It was so huge, and nothing like that had ever been done before. I mean, this was an established brand. ABH was still only doing brow products at the time, but they were some of the most popular, if not the most popular brow products that Sephora sold at that point. So it was just wild to see this person on social media develop a relationship with a super stylish brand in Sephora. It was just huge. I know that in 2020, that is just like a novel concept, but that was not the relationship people had with branded beauty products that way. If you were gonna buy a beauty product because somebody's likeness was attached to it, it was Beyonce or Gwen Stefani or somebody like that. So just this person on Instagram being able to collab with a brand on that level, it was just huge. I can't overstate it. That's when I think everything changed, because that launch was successful. But that was also around the time we started seeing more, I want to call them Instagram brands, because they came to prominence through their activity and their communities on Instagram. But not Instagram brands like skinny teas, like I'm talking about like Dose of Colors. ABH was an Instagram brand. Morphe. And then you got like Makeup Geek, who had been in the game for a long time, but through social media, YouTube, Instagram, their star rose a lot. Everybody was using Makeup Geek for a long time. I don't even remember what we were using before. I really don't. MAC shadows? And that's back then, MAC shadows were like $12 for a single, because MAC could get away with those prices because they were the only gig in town. Truly. But yeah, this is a time when you could go into Sephora or Ulta and you wouldn't see nary a beauty guru's likeness in place. You wouldn't see brands affiliated with them. You wouldn't see collaborations with them. You wouldn't see influencer-owned brands at all. It just was not a thing. But yeah, I'd have to say at this point, ABH, in my opinion, was kind of like the cool hip brand. Cool hip. Tell us another one, Grandma. And then we had Jaclyn Hill get that collab with Becca. And that was another unprecedented moment in the industry because Becca was a brand people knew. Like, I already had some of their highlighters before she did, but I did because I was a really avid watcher. So I remember when she first started talking about them and I was like, oh, I had that. But yeah, I knew who the brand was and I had been buying some things from them for a little while. But her coming along and really growing, I mean, she kind of did. She grew that brand, you know, from the relationship she had with her audience, and then that resulted in Champagne Pop, which I believe is one of the most successful makeup launches in history, or it has sold some sort of groundbreaking, record-breaking amount of units at this point. There's something there. And that kind of leads perfectly into one of the next really big shifts in the industry, and that's when Jaclyn Hill, but not just her, the unbelievable slew of people, influencers, whatever you want to call them, that started promoting Morphe like they were getting paid for it. Oh wait, they were getting paid for it. But if we circle back to the beginning of this talk, you will remember that I told you guys that my entrance into the beauty community started with the discovery of brands like Coastal Scents and BH Cosmetics, and that is exactly what Morphe was for the majority of the time that they were being celebrated on the internet. They were being private labeled. This is nothing new. We've been known this. But for me to watch this at that point, when I had already been through that stage in my makeup collecting or makeup practicing journey, I had already done all that. And it kind of felt like we were going backwards because Makeup Geek, like I said, were such a big player at the time. They fell off as a result of that. And Morphe, I think, started the palette craze in general. And I have a video coming about Makeup Geek's rebrand. I ordered the Matrix system on Tuesday. I'm still waiting for it to come in. But I'm definitely going to do a video all about Makeup Geek and how I feel about the rebrand because I have a lot of feelings about it. But Morphe really came in. They kind of learned from what happened with Becca and with Anastasia Beverly Hills, how beneficial a influencer's relationship, particularly in the beauty space, was with their subscribers. And then I think that's another point where things just took a turn, and honestly, I think they took a turn for the worst. The worst because Morphe had so much success with eyeshadow palettes for whatever reason. I think it was simply the fact that they were cheap and the eyeshadows worked. Do you know what I mean? Like, they weren't garbage. That don't mean they were good either. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. I have a lot of Morphe eyeshadow palettes. It took me many years to start even attempting to purchase them, but I wanted to see kind of what all the fuss was about. But I don't like them. I use one, and that's the Jaclyn Hill one, but other than that, I'm literally about to get rid of all of them because they're huge and cumbersome and too many repeat colors, and there's nothing inspiring about them. It's just a lot. You guys watch Family Guy? There was an episode where Brian gets Adderall, and he starts writing all these fantasy novels, and he's created like an entire world around his fantasy novels. And then he meets George R.R. Martin, and George R.R. Martin looks at him and he goes, that stuff doesn't make you write well, it just makes you write a lot. And that's how I feel about Morphe. Like, none of their stuff was especially groundbreaking. They just had a lot of it, and they also had a lot of people getting paid to talk about them. And then I think that sparked the dawn of even more integration with influencers and brands, but more specifically around certain types of products. I feel like we had a liquid lipstick moment when everybody was releasing friggin' liquid lipsticks, and then we had a highlighter moment where everybody was releasing highlighters. And it feels like most recently, I would say the past 2 years, it has been eyeshadow palette overload. And I blame Morphe, because there must be on the back end some sort of huge profit that you're able to gain off of an eyeshadow palette than you can gain off of literally anything else. Not to mention, eyeshadow palettes are the easiest thing for influencers to market on social media, because it's a color product, and it's a color product that is not like any other color product. With a lipstick, typically you're only gonna wear that one way. With blush, typically you aren't even going to be able to tell the difference between one blush and another once it's on someone's face. So eyeshadow palettes presented a type of product that you could make easily distinguishable from an Instagram post. And this is particularly true when it comes to things like pops of color eyeshadow palettes. I did a video where I talked about the different types of eyeshadow palettes that are out there, and the pop of color one is one of the more popular ones, where you just release a standard neutral palette, might have 15 shades on it, 3 of them are just a random pop of color. You just add a certain type of branding story to it, maybe throw an influencer's likeness, and bada bing, bada boom, you have a makeup launch. And that has been done over and over and over and over and over again. So when we say the beauty community has changed, what's actually changed is the industry, and how the beauty community reacts to it, I still don't even think is a clear indication of the community as a whole. I think it's a few key players who we tend to assign reign over the beauty community. There's about, 10 people that we all know, the ones who get all the same brand deals. It's just the same groups of people over and over again doing the same thing over and over again, and then we'll be like, it's the beauty community. It's really not. It's just the people who stand to profit the most off of the way that it is right now. And as I say all the time, we can choose to interact with that to whatever degree we want. Now let's be clear. Nothing about what's happening right now in the beauty industry is new. Nothing about it at all. You know, as I said in the beginning of the video, we didn't have influencers. We had Beyonce and Eva Longoria, and who else does beauty campaigns? I don't know, Charlize Theron. Those were the people who were taking the place of the influencer circa 15 years ago. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. It's just the way it's always been done. You can sell a product to someone a lot more easily if you can attach it to a person, like someone they know something about, as opposed to just a nameless, faceless corporation. Which is why influencer beauty brands are the absolute way of the future, like it or not. Think about it like this, like Gatorade is usually promoted or sold by athletes. And what's the idea here? That if you drink Gatorade, you're going to be a professional athlete? Those things are not connected at all. No more than buying a Dior perfume is going to make you look like Charlize Theron, but it works because it gives us something to sink our teeth into. They've also been selling us on the idea that certain products can help us achieve a level of beauty or perfection that is not only unrealistic but largely unattainable based on the images that they use to sell them to us. It's definitely just all been done before. But what is new and why this all feels so crazy to us now is the direct relationship the consumers now have with the brands, and the relationship the consumers form with each other around any given brand or launch. It's why the beauty community is extremely influential and powerful in what brands will do. I mean, the whole thing when Fenty came out, that everybody was like, it's groundbreaking that she released so many shades. Yeah, it was, because not a lot of brands came out the gate doing that. Not that she's the only brand to ever do that. She's not. But it was interesting because that was an answer, or excuse me, that was directly related to a discussion that had been happening in the beauty community for a long time. People were pointing out constantly how disproportionate the shade ranges were for light, medium, fair skin tones versus deeper complected products. It was, you just couldn't even compare the two. It was usually like 20 shades of white and like 2 deep shades. That's all we were getting. And then Rihanna came out and did something different because she was listening to what the industry, and by industry I mean the beauty community, wanted. Once this massive amount of money started coming in, influencers started developing closer relationships with brands, and the kind of like grassroots, sitting on your living room floor, filming in front of your window vibe was gone forever. We got people with editors. We got people with cameramen. It just became a production because the closer aligned with the brands that the influencers were, the higher caliber of content they had to produce. Look at how highly produced a commercial or a magazine advertisement is for any given brand. You don't think for one second that the fact that brands and influencers have super strong relationships has anything to do with why the content production, or why the production value of the content went up so high. It's one happened because of the other. I've talked about this before, how fascinating it is to me that brands got us out here buying their products just so we will tell everyone we bought their products. That is what the friggin' beauty community is at the end of the day. So the Kylie child releases an uninspired, boring eyeshadow palette, and you've got people who are trying to get on the PR list or trying to get in the good graces of the Kardashians. So they start promoting her product relentlessly. I feel like we saw that when her line came out. That's how a lot of stars start getting involved in all of this. Like friggin' Lady Gaga was on Nikki Tutorial's channels this year. That's insane. Like Lady Gaga is a full-blown Oscar-winning star, and she's on someone's YouTube channel, and it ain't for her health, and it's not for the fun of it. Rarely do these celebrities want to get involved with the beauty community in any way until they have something to sell us, because everybody wants in the game now. It's a highly lucrative, huge business. And it just kind of becomes about product as a result, because there's so much money on the line. I think that's where this narrative came from at some point. Once again, in order to succeed in the beauty community, you have to be in bed with the beauty industry as a whole. It's why I feel like for a long time, if you ever watch any videos on like how to start a YouTube channel, how to start an Instagram, everybody be like, oh, buy companies' makeup and tag them in it, and maybe they'll promote you. And I just think that's garbage to assume that the only way to grow in social media, if that's what you want to do, is to create content advertising for free. Actually, it's not for free. You're paying to create content for other brands to market their product. It doesn't matter if your platform only has 500 people or 5,000 or 50,000. All those people are seeing you promote this brand because you think that's going to help you grow. And I think that's another part where the industry or the community has kind of gone astray, because at one point we were the ones who were telling these brands what's up. And now we just gave the power right back to them. They tell us what's up because we think we need them to succeed in this industry. We don't. Not the way we've been doing it, at least. But once all this nonsense starts and there's more money involved, that's when drama channels popped up. And I feel like drama channels are the next huge thing that changed the way the beauty community, and as a result, the beauty industry as a whole. I think it's huge because, do you guys remember the first drama video I ever saw? I do. It was a Sanders Kennedy video called Beauty Gurus Exposed. First time I'd ever seen anyone do anything like that. And then Here for the Tea came for Jaclyn Hill's ass for like 50 videos. But it was finally changing this conversation and painting what they were doing as extremely duplicitous and money hungry, which in some cases it is. But then we started talking, not even just about the ethics of what they were doing in business, it started being about their divorces and their weight gains and their new houses and their best friends and who they were fighting with and who they were friends with. Like, it changed it forever again. Once upon a time, I would have said that it was changed for the better, but I don't know how much I believe that anymore. Mostly because some of the people who are in the drama community are now like getting in bed with the people that they were poured on. And I don't think you can do that and maintain a unbiased opinion. I don't care. They can say all day and twice on Sunday, this does not affect my review. This does not affect my opinion. I just don't believe it anymore. Like, maybe I look at what they were doing as some form of like journalism, and that was my mistake, but I don't fall for that. And then we have like even crazier things that are happening lately, and I think this is crazy personally. Like the whole Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star ad, 9-part ad that they had the nerve to call a documentary, and we just eat it up, man. You can sell us makeup any way nowadays. Like, it's funny, I was at the bookstore the other day, and there was a cash wrap right by the register that was selling makeup, and it was a bookstore. It's just, I see it everywhere now. Places that it doesn't even make sense to sell makeup, people are going to try to sell you makeup now because it's just a huge industry now. It always has been, but it's just different. It's very different. Now, whether or not the change is positive or negative is going to come down very specifically to the person you're talking to. The reason this video is so long and I told such a long story is because I want you to understand why I think it has changed in a negative way. Some people, depending on their understanding of the situation or how long they've been involved or how much they're benefiting from it, might see nothing wrong at all with the state of it now. And honestly, it really doesn't matter if I like it or agree with it or not, because it is what it is now. Like, I can be romantic about the beauty community of 2012 every day and twice on Sunday, but it doesn't matter. Like, the industry and the market does not care about how great it was in the good old days. It cares about how much money is being made and how it's being made. I think this pretty much brings us up to speed now. But I will say this, I do think a change is coming. I think we've seen evidence of the change in the form of things like anti-hauls and no buys and project pans and all the people that are creating content, dragging brands and dragging influencers and dragging launches and dragging products. Like, that's the new content strategy. Whereas in the past, the content strategy was to give glowing reviews to everything, to stay in everyone's good graces. So a level of like realism has re-entered the arena in the fact that people aren't afraid to speak out and say what they have to say about stuff. Now, it does concern me that that's happening, only because if it's going to be a content strategy as opposed to an actual willingness to inspire change or to open a dialogue around things that need to change, then when the tide turns again, the people are just going to follow suit with that as well. This shouldn't be a trend. This should be kind of a warning shot, letting brands know that we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore. Like, I don't know. I think that brands need to step it up. Their releases have been super unimaginative and boring, I think, for a while now, but certainly last year. You know, I was on that no buy for a long time, and people ask me on the daily how I deal with temptation and resist not buying stuff. And I was like, I don't know what you mean. Like, none of this stuff looks interesting to me anymore. It's all the same thing over and over and over and over again. I'm gonna do my lips off camera, and then I will be right back to wrap this up. All right, guys, so this is the finished look. I do want to let you know what I'm wearing on my lips really fast, because I always get asked, because I don't put it in the video, simply because I can't talk while I'm putting lipstick on. And maybe I should do that just so I'll shut up for 5 seconds in a video from time to time. But this is the Mel Thompson and Christian Audette collab. The color Beauty is the lipstick I'm wearing. I have been wearing this out literally constantly ever since I got it, which was back in November, I think. It's such a good collection, and I think they're still selling it, and I love Mel, so go show her some love. But yeah, in summation, to answer the question that this video poses, which is the community on its last legs? I don't think it is. I think that, as I said towards the end of the makeup aspect of this video, I think we're seeing a tide turn, and we're going to continue to see it turn. I think that a lot of the content that is rising in popularity is symptomatic of just release fatigue that we've all been getting. I think the excitement over Makeup Geek's rebranding and the whole message and idea behind it is a good sign of what people are actually wanting at this point. And I'm really interested to see what happens for 2020. I mean, I think that we're going to see the conversation of beauty continue to go on because I don't think it's going anywhere. I just think the way that it's being had is going to change. And I personally cannot wait for that. So thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm sorry if it's super long, but I just get to talking, and that's just what it is. Thank you to the patrons. Gotta make sure we show some love. Today, around 6, I am doing a live stream with the patrons. We're doing them pretty frequently. In the month of January, I'm trying to do 1 or 2 a weekend. Yo, that's right. Yeah, I'm doing one today, and I'm doing one on Sunday also. So lots of live streams. Looking forward to that, but I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Make sure you check the down bar for links to all my social media platforms, and I will catch you in the next one.